Abacha'S daughter, Gumsu, has just posted a cryptic message on X, formerly known as Twitter, just immediately after the launch of a book of General Ibrahim Abubakar. What she has to say will surprise you. Can you imagine? I felt like she ought to be more, compassionate towards the plight of people and towards what people suffered during her father's regime. But no, guess what she has to say? Before we delve right into the details of today's news, if this is your first time here, you have not subscribed to this channel, what are you doing? Please go ahead and subscribe. Click on the subscribe button down below. Also give this video a massive thumbs up. That way YouTube is able to recommend this video to other YouTube viewers all around the world. Lastly, please leave your opinions in the comments section below as well. Gumsu, daughter of the late military head of state, Sani Abacha, has shared a cryptic post on X seemingly responding to former military president Ibrahim Abubakar's claim about her father's role in the annulment of June 12 presidential election. In a one-word post on her X handle on Friday, Gumsu wrote, "Weakling," in quotes. She made the post amid the ongoing conversations on the book, A Journey in Service, the autobiography of Babangida, launched in Abuja on Thursday. In the 420-page memoir, Babangida addressed issues about the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election, which was won by the late MKO Abiola of the Social Democratic Party, SDP. Babangida described the annulment of the election as an accident of history that is most regrettable. The former military president who oversaw the annulled election said he was in Katsina when the cancellation of the election was announced by the press secretary of his second-in-command without his knowledge or permission. Babangida said he later discovered that the forces against the June 12 election were led by Abacha, his then chief of defense staff, who later became military head of state. The former military leader said after several brainstorming sessions with various groups, he had contacted Abiola and offered him an interim position. Babangida hinted that Abiola was hobnobbing with Abacha while being deceived that the election would be revalidated once it was overthrown. In the wake of a protest that trailed the annulment of the election, Babangida stepped down as president in August 1993 and installed an interim government led by Ernest Shoneko, which Abacha would remove from power in November 1993. Abacha later clamped Abiola into detention for declaring himself president. Some individuals have argued that Babangida painted the late Abacha as the villain in the annulment of the June 12 election. Gumsu had also reposted some of the sentiments, suggesting that Babangida knew that Abacha could no longer defend himself. What are your thoughts? Let's have them in the comment section. Some people of a school of thought that most people who were mentioned or most people who were incriminated in the annulment of the June 12 election were dead people. Now dead people are dead people. This group of people are arguing that, because Babangida does not want to take account, he does not want to take accountability for his actions. So therefore, he's passing the blame to people who are now dead, people who cannot speak for themselves, nor even defend themselves. While some people are of the opinion that, that is exactly what happened. But how can we even know when there is nobody to corroborate a story? Most people mentioned are dead people. Take, for example, Abacha. Abacha is dead. Abacha cannot come from the grave to defend himself or give his own account of events that happened, during the annulment. How can you be the head of state and you're saying that the election was annulled without your consent? Is that possible? I don't even think that is possible. You cannot even be the president and an election will be annulled in your absence. Not to talk of you being the military head of state and you're claiming that the election was annulled in your absence and you had to investigate to find out who annulled the election. It's just absurd and very unbelievable to me. But let's have your thoughts and opinions in the comments. Do you think that is account of events that happened during or leading up to the annulment of the June 12 election. Do you think the do you think it sounds right? Do you think it could be true? Let us know in the comment section, you guys. But before we go, let's take a look at some of the reactions we got online. Eche Atoko says, "Yeah, talk, I beg. Your chief of defense cancelled the election and you didn't want it that way, but it stood. Imagine, even if it was done in your absence, when you came back, couldn't you have said, oh, who asked you to do it? The election must stand, and then you make your own announcement later on to say, oh, this election is standing and nothing is going to happen. This Baba just needs to take accountability." According to what Abiola's son said, you only confessed. You confessed without even asking for forgiveness from Nigerians, nor even from the family of MKO Abiola. So what are we going to do with your confession? Like, what? What will your confession be? What are we going to use your confession for? What is it going to become for us? What is the confession for? We don't get it. After all these years, after all these years of you keeping mute, you're coming to tell us that, oh, it was done in your absence. So when you came back and then realized what was happening, why didn't you reverse the announcement, the annulment? Why didn't you reverse it? You did none of that. And here you are telling us that you gave Abiola a second chance, to rule as the interim government, but he declined because he was obnobbing with Abacha. And Abacha was deceiving him that he should not worry when he overthrows the government, he's going to announce him as the president. Is that possible? You're just throwing the blame around, passing the blame around and not taking accountability in the process. Moving on. It means your chief of defense was more powerful than you and was controlling you like his handbag. Story for the gods. Thank you, sir. Onyachu Roland says, okay, agreed that Abacha championed the annulment while you were hiding in Castina. As the CNC, are you saying you lost command? Remember, you didn't travel out of the country, and even if you did have lost command, you had the power to offer interim reign, but lost the power to override your subordinates. How? The story is just not adding up at all. Okoruku says, this lady took her mother's beauty, but her father's black eye glasses. It's good she's finally speaking out. We want to hear from you, sister. Tolulokpe Babatunde says, will he say if Abacha were there? Will he say this if Abacha were alive? The answer is no. Story for the gods. Emmanuel Andrew says, where were you? You are just saying since Abacha is late, no defense. Chukwuemeka Joseph says, one day they will write about 2023 general election, which they all supported Tinubu to rig Peter Obi out of their selfish interest. Mubarak Abdullah says, none of them is alive to defend themselves. Abi? Adewale Sosanwo says, to me, next of action is to arrest all involved in this matter and jail them all. You allow the country to go on separate ways. Exactly. I said it in my previous video, like, okay, so what are we going to do with the confession? You've confessed, Aren't the authorities going to do the needful? Or because a lot of time, I think about 32 years now have passed. So because of that, nothing should be done about it, because I don't understand why he's confessing now, or what are we going to use the confession for? Hilary Obi says, Abacha did not initiate the annulment of June 12 election. Some very important and high-profile Nigerians did. Some are late and some are still alive. So if a brave and fearless general can clarify this issue and mention the names of those in the annulment of June 12 election, which MKO Abiola won, the most free and fair election ever conducted since the inception of democracy in Nigeria, let him own up and call their names. Abacha is late and cannot defend himself. Sir, tell us what happened. Exactly. Mercy Williams says, well, I think that both parties were guilty in the sin against Abiola. The truth remains that Maradona will always be who he is. Michael Omikwale says, does this useless man and his co-launchers have retarded brain? I was a youth copper in Jos the day this God-forsaken man used the word annulment. Before God and man, that was the first day my co-copper and I heard that word for the first time. I am the one that searched the word in the dictionary, How come this useless man is saying he was not around when the election was annulled? May all the hypocrites that grace the event never find the peace. IBB, Ibrahim Babangida will never find peace with his useless book. I think he feels like he's going to die anytime soon. The man is old. He knows he's going to die. God might call him at any time, so which is why he made a confession. But I think the confession is still not complete because it's not telling us all the story. Jaye Oru Ko says Ibrahim Babangida is just beating about the bush. It must be agreed that he only used Abacha'S name for cover-up because the general is lit. The real sponsors and actors of the annulment are still alive, and for the fear that I'm mentioning the names of these big wigs that really stood that the election should and must be annulled may cause disunity and even separation. That is why he kept mute on these individuals. But then, we Nigerians are not foes. Nigeria belongs to all Nigerians, okay? You all, let's have your thoughts and opinions in the comment section. Thank you very much for always listening and watching, guys. What are your thoughts on all of these issues that have been discussed already? I will see you all in my next video. Bye for now.